Revenge on the mother-in-law who liked to steal from me. The situation no one warns you about. No one tells you that sometimes, when you marry someone, you don't just marry them. You inherit someone else's unfinished war. When I moved in with my husband and his mother, I told myself it would be temporary. Just until we saved enough. Just until things stabilized. Just until we could breathe. That's the lie you tell yourself when love makes you hopeful and practicality makes you desperate. I didn't move in expecting warmth. But I also didn't expect constant unease. Living with her felt like living with someone who was always watching, even when she wasn't in the room. She wasn't loud. She didn't scream. She didn't insult me outright. She did something worse. She took things. The kind of person she really was. Let me explain her personality, because this matters. She didn't see rules as rules. She saw them as suggestions for other people. One afternoon, she came home almost glowing with pride. She told us about an animal rescue center in town. A place that ran entirely on donations. Volunteers. Kindness. They collected cans. People would drop them off. They'd recycle them to raise money for injured animals. She was driving past one day, saw bags of cans sitting behind the building, and took all of them. She didn't whisper it. She didn't feel guilty. She laughed. Why would they just leave them there, she said. If they didn't want them taken, they should have locked them up. I remember the exact moment my stomach turned. Because that wasn't just stealing. That was justifying stealing. And people who justify stealing never stop. When it started happening to me, at first, it was subtle enough that I questioned myself. A bracelet I loved wasn't where I remembered leaving it. A shirt disappeared, then magically reappeared weeks later in the laundry, stretched, worn, not mine anymore. Little things. Things you second guess. I didn't want to believe it. Because believing it meant admitting something terrifying. White right pointing backhand index. Someone I lived with did not respect my boundaries. White right pointing backhand index. Someone I lived with felt entitled to my belongings. White right pointing backhand index. Someone I lived with was comfortable violating my space. And then came the bedroom. I came home one afternoon earlier than usual. I heard movement in our room. Drawers. Fabric. That unmistakable sound of someone touching things that don't belong to them. She stepped out like nothing happened. Smiled. And that was it. That was the moment I realized this wasn't accidental. This was habitual. The lock and what it really meant. Installing a lock on the bedroom door wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. Practical. But to her, it was an insult. The moment she noticed it, her entire demeanor changed. She didn't ask about it. She didn't joke. She went cold. Because the lock wasn't just metal. It was a message. You don't have access anymore. And people like her don't react well to losing access. The slow burn anger. Living like that changes you. You start locking things that shouldn't need locks. You start hiding things that should feel safe. You start walking on eggshells in a place that's supposed to be home. And every time she smiled at me, every time she acted sweet, I felt that low simmer of anger. Not explosive anger. The dangerous kind. The kind that waits. The one thing she loved. She had one obsession. Diamond painting. If you've never seen it, imagine thousands of tiny colored gems, placed one by one, perfectly, obsessively, until they form an image. She would sit for hours. Silent. Focused. Control radiating off her like heat. It wasn't just a hobby. It was her escape, her identity, her sense of mastery. And that's when the thought crept in. Not revenge. Not yet. Just curiosity. The idea that wouldn't leave. Revenge doesn't always arrive as rage. Sometimes it arrives as clarity. I realized something crucial. She stole because she believed nothing would happen. No consequences. No discomfort. No loss. And the thing about people like that, they only understand loss. So I waited. I watched her work on a massive piece. Weeks of effort. Hours every night. I waited until she was deeply invested. And one night, when the house was quiet, I took a single color. Not the whole thing. Just one. A main color. Enough to ruin everything. The unraveling. The confusion was almost immediate. She searched. She accused. She reorganized. She muttered under her breath, pacing, checking the same places again and again. And I said nothing. I watched her experience what she had given me for years. That hollow feeling. That doubt. That creeping paranoia. The satisfaction no one talks about. Here's the part people don't admit. It wasn't about cruelty. It was about balance. For once, she didn't feel in control. For once, she didn't feel entitled. For once, something was missing and she couldn't take it back. And I slept better than I had in months. The silent ending. She never proved anything. She never accused me. Because deep down, she knew. And after that, things stopped disappearing. The bedroom stayed untouched. The stealing ended. All because someone finally made her feel the cost of her behavior. Final thought. Some revenge isn't loud. Some revenge doesn't destroy lives. Some revenge simply restores balance. And sometimes, that's enough.